Nostalgia by Ernest Cline. What? The book's not called Nostalgia? Ready Ready Player One? Ready Player One by Ernest Cline. I did just wrap up reading Ready Player One as the last book in August, and I have some thoughts. I mostly overall enjoyed the book. There are obvious issues with it as well, that if you look up any negative reviews of this book, you will find them. But I will mention those as well as the good points. The world is Earth in the year 2044. Now, there is a financial crash. There is very bad global warming. A lot of people are very poor. There's no job market. And James Halliday, who is this incredibly wealthy billionaire, has created what is called the Oasis, which is a completely free-to-play VR game, but it's beyond that at this point. It's become an entire alternate reality. Effectively, he's created Second Life, the game, and people live almost their entire lives in it. People are obsessed with it. People basically, make careers within the Oasis. They use actual labor to make money in the Oasis. It's basically a gigantic part of the economy of Earth in the year 2044 in this book. And what happens is there's a contest that James Halliday basically presented to everybody before his passing. He died and left his entire fortune and control of the Oasis to whoever can find and discover the Easter egg that he hid within the Oasis. Now, when you actually start up the book with our main character, Wade Watts, it's been 5 years since Halliday's passing. Now, after this 5 years of nobody being able to even figure out the first key to the first gate, Wade, whose avatar is Parzival, and somebody that he meets within the game named Artemis, they actually discover how to find the first key. And when Wade obtains the first key, it shoots his name up on the scoreboard. There's basically this digital scoreboard that's projected to everybody in the Oasis. And the second that he grabs that key, his score gets posted, and instantly the hunt is on again. He kind of rejuvenates the entire race for this Easter egg, which is where our story takes place, because that is the entire story. They're searching for this egg to get the fortune and control the Oasis. Now, as soon as he finds that, immediately a target is put on his back. So he is now instantly famous. This is like highest celebrity status that you could possibly have. News people are waiting for him. They don't know his actual identity because it is anonymous within the Oasis, but they want to meet him, and sponsors are coming out of the woodwork trying to throw money at him. There's also an entire government agency within the world called the IOI, who are the bad guys, and they're led by, in this book, a person by the name of Sorrento, who basically leads this division of, they call themselves the Sixers, and it's basically a gigantic corporation that is trying to find the Easter egg and will do whatever they need to, cheat, do all kinds of things that shouldn't technically be allowed, but Halliday was a little vague on the rules of this Easter egg hunt. So they will do whatever it takes to get to the egg first, because obviously they want the money and they want control of the Oasis, because the IOI's goal is to take control of this free-to-play VR simulator, charge a subscription fee, and load it full of microtransactions and advertisements. Sound familiar? Now, the book does not only focus on Wade. I would say Artemis is probably the second main character that you follow, although it is all through Wade's eyes. It's a single person POV book. And you also meet his best friend H, and then you meet up with two other players in the game that join later on, Dido and Shoto. So if you've seen the movie, you're familiar with at least the names of all these characters. The movie, as I understand it, drastically took a different route of pretty much everything after the introduction to this world and characters, but we're not talking about the movie, talking about the book. So the reason this fortune obviously is such a fantastic thing that people want to win is obviously, the money is one thing, right? But because the world is on such hard times, people live in what are called stacks. I don't even have the book out, but it's basically all these trailers stacked on top of each other. So quite literally stacks of trailers. And this is what Wade and a lot of others live in. Stand up. So because of that, a lot of these people are pretty poor. The job market sucks. They really want this money. Now, the reason I made the joke at the beginning, calling this nostalgia the book, is because James Halliday, and I feel like it was written this way because Ernest Cline himself probably just loves the 80s. James Halliday had an obsession with the 80s. Now, when he created the Oasis, it's multiple planets and worlds. It's not just a single game, but every single clue and secret and dungeon and game that you have to go through to get to the keys to unlock these gates is all 80s nostalgia. So I feel like Ernest could have done a better job actually incorporating those themes into the book and making them more than just references, but at the same time, I just thought it was kind of stupid fun to just be like, hey, I recognize that. I recognize that. I know what a DeLorean is. Oh, that's funny. Ferris Bueller's Day Off. Oh, War Games. Cool. All these different things that are in it play, obviously, a pivotal role in the book, but I feel like it was mostly there just to be like, hey, look at all the stuff that I know from the 80s. But that's fine. I had fun with it. But basically, all this 80s nostalgia forces everybody, Wade, H, Artemis, and every single other person playing this game, which I refer to as Gunters, they basically have to obsess over Halliday's obsession with the 80s to be able to figure out and decipher these clues and these secrets to get these keys and gates. So, for an example, Wade gets to a room and he's actually dropped into, so this is all within the simulation, he's put in the movie War Games, and he actually has to act out the entirety of the movie, and his score is going up every time he gets a dialogue, correct, and if he gets dinged for something, he'll lose points. So that happens a couple times throughout. There's other ones where you get put into various games from the 80s. Something like Joust is in this. There's a couple of others where if you're familiar with that game, you know how to play it, you can pass the secret and obtain the key. If you don't, you're probably pretty screwed. And luckily, Wade, being the Gary Stu that he is in this book, just happens to be pretty damn good at all of the things that he needs to be to move the plot forward, which again, yeah, I get it. Like, that's going to turn some people off. I was just having fun with the book, so it didn't really bother me. Now, one of the movies that actually he has to act out was Monty Python and the Holy Grail, which just was funny to me because that movie's hilarious. And just the fact that you, as part of this game, have to act your way through that, it's just a great moment of the book. Wade's trying to recite the dialogue from the movie with the proper accents that the characters use. I mean, it's a lot of fun, honestly. This isn't like a super serious book. I don't think this is like pinnacle of sci-fi or anything like that, but it was a hell of a lot of fun, and I enjoyed reading it pretty much the entire way through. Now, obviously, there are negatives. The main one, well, there's a couple. So the first one would be the way that the book is written. Occasionally, not even occasionally, quite often, the nostalgia bombs that are dropped on you are basically gigantic info dumps. So Ernest will go through paragraphs of just nostalgia and just kind of like dropping all these references and explaining like what these movies are or why these games are that he was playing. Sometimes it can be a little bit overwhelming or like too much at once. So he could have drawn back a little bit on that and really focused on a few things and really incorporated them into the story more. One of the other major criticisms that I've seen, it personally didn't bother me too much because I feel like I understood a little bit of why his character was this way. But Wade, aside from being a Gary Stu, he's a horny teenager that met this girl online and is kind of obsessing over her. So there's some pretty stalkerish things that he does because he so desperately wants this girl to like him. And I've heard negativity surrounding that and people saying like, oh, he's a creeper, he's kind of a stalker. I mean, yeah, a little bit. But I also kind of understood it because, teenage kid that doesn't go outside much, plays a lot of games, meets this girl online that shows him some attention. Like he wants that to, be his girlfriend. And he does definitely take it a little far at some points. So without spoiling anything, Wade can be a little creepy at times with Artemis as the character. I'll leave it at that. Second main criticism would just be that I feel like there's almost a lot of social commentary here where Ernest almost gets there, but doesn't quite take the steps necessary to get to the point where it's truly commentary on, all these people obsessing over someone else's obsessions or celebrity worship. Because as soon as one of these people gets put on a scoreboard, like, people are throwing money at them, they want autographs, they want to know who this person is. It's like it's almost there, and he could have taken it to that point. Maybe that just wasn't the story that he wanted to write, but I feel like that's kind of a missed opportunity. He could have made this more of a commentary on, because this was written in 2011. This isn't like he was predicting these crazy things happening. Like, the internet was a thing in 2011. All these celebrities are already being worshipped online. Basically virtual scoreboards are a thing with likes and subscriptions, and people love money, like, all these things that are, and just there could have been so much commentary of, like, this dude worth $240 billion creates this gigantic VR simulation, and instead of doing something with his money, like, just whoever wins gets my money. Like, there's a lot that I guess could have been said about the place that, the world is in 2044, and just this wealth disparity and things like that. It's talked about a little bit, but I felt like it could have gone a little bit further and really been like an impactful book almost in a certain way, but I don't think that's what he was going for. He was kind of just making this a fun 80s nostalgia adventure, and I appreciate it for what it is. So overall, I really enjoyed it. Yeah, there are some criticisms for sure that can't really be overlooked, but I just had a lot of fun with it. It was almost one of those books where you could kind of just turn your brain off and just be along for the ride. It was like a popcorn flick kind of thing. It was just exciting me being a big gamer for my entire life, just understanding that, it's not that crazy to think that like a VR simulation MMO would exist where people would just throw real life dollars at it, thousands and thousands of dollars at it on an annual basis, looking at you, World of Warcraft and everything else. All these free MMOs that come out and have cash shops. And that's basically what these kids are doing in this book. Like, they're buying in-game costumes for their avatars. They're buying cars. They're buying houses with real money, mind you. So, it's just, I could relate to all of that. And I understand that parallels real life very well. So it was a good time for me. Overall, I really enjoyed it. I thought it was a lot of fun. Yes, there are negatives, but they didn't really bother me personally. So I would recommend reading it. I don't know if... I haven't seen the movie. I have not heard very good things about the movie. I've heard some people that liked it that didn't read the book, and then I've seen people review the movie after reading the book, and it's just like a total... just has nothing to do with what the book was or what it was talking about, and it's just not good. So let me know in the comments down below if you've read the book or watched the movie, which one you prefer, which one you think is better, or if you hated both of them. Just let me know. Yell at me if you absolutely hated this book. I'm happy to have. But as always, like and subscribe if you enjoy the content. Keep up with the channel for more reviews and other things coming up. And until next time, keep reading.